I am definitely recording you now, Mr. Slave. This is very funny.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
before you debate Avi, you have to tell us how the fuck you ended up in this space.
In this space,
Yeah, why are you in a vegan server right now? How did you end up here? I see you on
I
Alex's channel
I'll tell you.
sometimes debating like pickup artistry stuff.
Yes. So the way I ended up in ethical veganism is, well, Alex invited me to debate. So I started debating, and basically we ran out of topics to debate. And then I debated Andrew from the Crucible, pretty much wiped the floor with him in about one sentence. So that was boring. And I want to make my queen famous, so I need anything to debate, because that's how you become famous apparently these days. Anyway, so I was looking for other topics, and I don't know how I came across, but ethical veganism strikes me as the most dangerous of anything that humanity has come up with. So I'll take it.
Okay, I'm gonna let you debate Avi. That's just really hilarious. When you said it's Mr. Slave, I'm like, okay, I know who this guy is. That's funny. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
enjoy your debate. It's funny to see you here.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I just want to know what you mean by the proposition, because I don't even know if we have a disagreement. But because I don't know what you mean by utter nonsense. When you say ethical veganism is utter nonsense,
Well,
can I?
I mean, are
Yeah,
you want to complete the question?
I want to know what you mean by that proposition. There are certain terms I don't understand. So I don't know what you
Right,
mean by utter nonsense. Do you mean that it's like entails a contradiction? Do you mean it's incoherent? Do you mean that
right.
um,
Utter nonsense is just a term that the late Professor Freeman Dyson used to call global warming. So I just picked it up. I just call everything utter nonsense. It's just,
okay, but that doesn't.
so it,
But
yes.
what do you mean? But that doesn't tell me what you mean. You're saying if you call everything utter nonsense,
No,
that's not helping me.
everything that I think is utter nonsense. Just picked up
Well,
his
that doesn't help me understand
terminology.
what utter nonsense is either. Because if
Right,
you
I
tell me,
understand.
if I say what's other nonsense, you say, oh well, other nonsense is everything I think is other nonsense. Well, then that doesn't
No,
bring me any
no,
closer to understanding.
no. It's a preamble. Anyway,
Okay,
what
what do you
I mean,
mean?
the reason, right? I mean, I find so. I mean, so here I'll ask you the question: do you consider yourself to be an ethical vegan?
Okay, so I'm happy to answer that question after you've answered
Hmm.
mine. So, when because again, I can tell you, happy to get to the questions, but I'd like to keep a linear train of thought here. So, what I'm just trying to do
No,
right now is understand what the debate proposition is. And
no
so,
problem. I'll do
yeah.
my best to help you debate me. Um,
Yeah.
I'll
So,
do my best to
so when
help
you say
you.
something is utter nonsense, what do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to you debating people, and I have to put a title on your position. From what I gather, you define yourself as an ethical vegan. So, I mean, I heard you. I heard you. I heard vegan gains. I only surmise from hours and hours of listening to you guys that if we put a title on your position, it would be ethical vegans. Same for who knows what's the guy that
I'm
introduced
still
me?
not, but I wasn't asking you
Asked
about
me.
ethical. I was asked
Oh,
to be clear. I was asking you about what utter nonsense means. So you telling me about ethical
oh,
veganism isn't helping me know what you
oh.
mean by utter nonsense.
I mean. So ethical, right? So ethical anything, right? But
Okay, let's just take the ethic. Let's just forget the first part of the
mhm.
proposition. Let's just focus on utter nonsense, right? So what is utter nonsense?
So I've been listening to you guys, And if I had to steelman your, excuse me?
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit of a sense that this might go on for a while, and I'm not going to understand what you mean by utter nonsense after multiple tries. And the reason I'm starting to think that is because I've done this maybe 4 or 5 times. I've asked you the same question, and you've either gone on some monologue about ethical veganism and how we define ourselves as veganism, which doesn't help me, or you've said other things that don't help me. So I would just really hope that the next time I ask you what utter nonsense is, instead of saying, well, I've listened to you guys, or, well, that's just something I say, or, well, but it does mean something, but it means everything I think is utter nonsense, or, well, I've listened to vegan gains, or, well, you define yourselves as, instead of saying any of that stuff, just tell me what you mean by utter nonsense. What does that mean in the context of that proposition? What does
Basically, every time I started talking, you cut me off.
Because it doesn't seem like you're getting to any closer to the point where I'm actually understanding what you mean by utter nonsense. Is there a way you can succinctly do that?
I wrote you in the email what I meant before you invited me.
I didn't see I read your email. It didn't say what you meant by utter nonsense either.
Well, utter nonsense. It's just English. I mean, what do I mean by the words utter and nonsense?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
One can mean. Yeah, there's different things one can mean by utter nonsense. So what by utter nonsense?
Exactly, exactly what the English language. Look it up on the dictionary. I honestly don't know. I mean, I can support my position, but
I'm not asking you to support your position. I'm asking to know what I want to first find out if you have a position that's able to be supported. So I want to know what you mean, if what you're saying is even like a coherent proposition that you're defending.
I would claim that ethical veganism, you could say, maybe is incoherent.
Okay, incoherent. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Thank God.
I don't before you celebrate. I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. All right.
Oh boy.
I don't even know how to categorize ethical veganism. So I don't know how to begin to say anything about it, and then you cut me off. So it's difficult enough. I mean, I would love to. I've heard you and Vegan Gains and ask me anything, whatever. I've heard you guys. I've heard many vegans. And I honestly don't know at this point what your position is. So I summarize.
So I understand. Utter nonsense means it means incoherent.
I don't even know. I don't. So what does incoherent mean? I honestly don't know what your position is.
It could be it entails a contradiction. That's one way of another way.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what your position is. I don't know.
Wait, but I'm not. But you came to me with a debate proposition.
Yes.
So okay, so I'm just trying to understand if your debate proposition, what your debate proposition.
Everything you say on YouTube is gobbledygook. I cannot make sense of it, and I'm not a complete idiot, as you can tell.
Well, I'm happy to debate. Okay, so just we can talk about that. But you came to me with the debate proposition, right? The debate proposition was ethical veganism is utter nonsense. Now I'm just trying to understand. All I'm doing right now is I'm trying to understand what you mean. Like, what is the proposition that you're trying to defend when you say that? So there are certain terms in that proposition. I just want to know in what sense you're talking about it. Like utter nonsense could mean
it's gobbledygook. I cannot make any sense of any of the videos. When I try to think through what you guys say, I can't make sense of it.
Okay. So utter nonsense means you can't make sense of it. And by ethical veganism, you just mean that what my view is.
Just put a title. I just put a title on how you might title yourself, as if I try to summarize who you are, so that we can debate who you are or your position. Yeah.
So it just means my view. My view is utter. So the proposition that I affirm about the treatment of animals, whatnot, that when I call myself that label, that's incoherent. That
I
makes
guess.
no
Yeah,
sense.
we can start with incoherent. Let's see where
So I
that
can
gets
tell
us.
you,
Sure.
yeah. I mean, I can tell you what I mean. So what I mean is that I have certain values, I have certain desires, I have certain goals,
That's
and
meaningless.
those.
That is completely
When you say,
meaningless. You can completely remove this from the protocol of this discussion. You're testifying about yourself. That's meaningless. You
when you
cannot
say
testify.
when you say it's meaningless, does it mean you don't understand what I'm saying?
No, it's meaningless to testify positively about yourself. You're saying I'm a
What does
terrific
it mean?
guy. You're saying
Wait,
I'm a
no.
terrific guy.
Wait, hold on. That doesn't answer my question. So when you say it's meaningless, does that mean you don't understand the proposition that I'm expressing? So if I say I have values that lead to
No.
of animals,
When I listen to you to entire hours and hours and days of what you say, and I put it together, I can't.
Okay. Well, just one.
But if we put a title,
Wait, but just one at a time. One step at a time, please. I'm gonna give you a proposition, and I just want to understand I want to know if you understand what the proposition means. I'm not asking you if you think it's interesting. I'm not asking you if you find the proposition profound. I'm not asking you any of those questions. I just want to know if you understand what it means. Okay.
Right.
So the proposition I give you is that I have certain values, goals, desires, such that it leads me to not consume animal products. Do you understand what that proposition means?
Yes.
Okay. So then it's not the case that ethical veganism is nonsense, as we've defined those terms then.
No, what you said is utter nonsense. I'll explain
Wait,
again.
but you said it's wait, but that's a that's a contradiction on your view then. Because we already dialed in, and to be clear, the contradiction is and is not the case that ethical.
No, what I mean, no.
Well, it is, because you just told me that you understood the proposition by how we substituted the terms in. Because I told you what I meant. Because by ethical veganism, you already said what it means is just how what your view is, what your proposition you affirm is, and by nonsense we mean incoherent. And then I told you what it means when I substituted it, and I asked you, do you understand what it means? And you said yes. So it can't be the case that it's incoherent because you understood it. You understood what it means. So it's false to say that ethical veganism is nonsense.
No, because if we go down the rabbit hole of what you just said, how you define yourself, if we go down that rabbit hole, it leads to utter nonsense. It leads to gobbledygook. It doesn't lead us anywhere. It's total nonsense.
When you say
I can't
make.
If I have here.
Wait, but how do you understand the proposition?
I'll help you.
Okay.
If I now swear that I will become an ethical vegan right now, I literally have no idea what that entails. I have no idea. I don't know what is allowed, what is not allowed. If I cannot have a discussion with you guys, and you will tell me, and we will come to some consensus, which for me that's nonsense. I mean, I cannot predict what is allowed, what is not allowed from ethical veganism or from what you said. It doesn't lead anywhere. It's nice words, but it's not practicable. It's not implementable. Okay. That's one problem.
I'm going to give you. That's not interacting with anything any of the points I just made. So I'm going to give you an argument. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, and so here's the argument, right? So P1 is if you understand what a proposition means, then the proposition is not incoherent. P2, you understand what a proposition means.
I'm already lost.
Conclusion? Okay. So a proposition is a truth-apt statement. It's a statement that can be true or false.
A truth app?
Truth app.
A what?
Yeah, apt, APT.
What does apt mean?
It means
English is not my. Okay.
It
Like
means
what?
it's capable of being true or false. So, for example, if I say it's raining outside,
Can we avoid this specific discussion? Is it possible to have?
I don't think so, because I mean we can. I don't see a contradiction entailed. It depends on what modality you're talking about, but I think it's important that we have it. I think it's important that we have it because what's being contested here is the debate proposition, and it doesn't seem like you know what a
but
proposition
hold on.
is.
I'm trying to help you. I'm honest to goodness.
I'm trying to help you too. Like because
then good. Then fantastic.
I'll tell you what's confusing, because what's troubling me is you said that ethical veganism is incoherent, and then when I told you. You said it's nonsense. When I asked you what nonsense means, it says incoherence. Then when we dialed in what ethical veganism is, we just dialed that in as the proposition that that I affirm, and that proposition I affirm we dialed in as I have certain values, goals, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products. And then you said you understood what that proposition is. And so what I'm trying to understand is how you can understand what a proposition means and then also say that the proposition is incoherent, because I take what incoherent just means is that you can't understand it. Is that it's not the case that you're able to understand.
So it's possible, right? So I understand the words and I can repeat the words. The words are in English. They are in correct use of grammar and vocabulary. You put together a logical sentence. But you might as well say the sky is 7. It's proper English. I have no idea what that means. What you said about it leads you to avoid animal suffering, or however you define it now, because you keep shifting the definitions. Like every time I listen, it's different definitions. But fine, I'm saying I'm helping you. No. Let me finish. Please let me finish. I'll repeat what I said before. If I swear on my mother's life, on my parents' life, if I swear on anything you want, if I want to do my best from here on to be a vegan, an ethical vegan, I literally have no idea what that entails. That's what I mean by utter nonsense. I don't know what to do with it, even if I wanted to. And the logic behind it is the same. I wouldn't, if I would have to debate someone. If let's say I swear to become a vegan and I have to an ethical vegan and I have to debate to protect it, to defend the position, I wouldn't know how to. It's utter nonsense.
Okay.
Even if I practice veganism according to you, which I don't know how to, because you keep changing that as well. Everything keeps changing. But now go ahead and respond.
Okay. So I'm just gonna continue right where I left off. Right, even though there's a lot that I could respond to, I'm not going to, because I don't agree with your characterizations, but I'm not going to get caught in a rabbit hole there. I'm going to continue right where I left off. So here's an argument that I'm going to give you, and if you don't understand the arguments, then it will be necessary for us to go through the details of what propositions are and things like that. Mm-hmm. So because remember. So my argument is, if you understand what the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products, then the proposition I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products is not incoherent. And the second premise is you do understand the proposition. I have goals, values, desires.
Wait, you were caught. I didn't hear the whole thing. Could you repeat it?
Sure. So are you looking at general chat? I can post the argument in general chat as well, so you can follow along.
No, the audio cut.
Okay, that's fine. So premise, so I'll do both. So premise 1 is, if you understand the proposition.
The answer is I don't understand it. The answer is I don't understand it.
That wasn't a question. That was a proposition that I'm offering. That was a premise. The premise.
So I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand it.
Okay, wait, but just let me deliver the argument, and then we can and then we can focus on which premise might be false. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So premise 1 is if you understand the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products. From the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products is not incoherent. Premise 2, you understand the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products. Conclusion, the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products is not incoherent. Okay, so that's the argument. Okay, and so what premise of the argument are you rejecting?
So let's start. Okay, so you say goals. What's the second one? Did you write it down somewhere?
Yeah, in general chat. Goals, values, desires.
Okay, so let's narrow it down. You have a personal preference, right? All of these come from your personal preference, right?
Yeah.
So we can just say if you have a personal preference.
Okay, that leads me to avoid. I'm fine with saying I have a preference.
It leads you anywhere. If you have a personal preference for anything. Yes. What about it? So if you have a personal preference for anything.
So the proposition is I have a preference that leads me to avoid consumption of animal products. So do you understand that proposition?
I mean,
but do you know what that means?
I mean, so you claim that you have a preference. It's your claim that you have a preference. We don't know.
That's not my question. I didn't ask. Yes, I do claim, but that's not what the premise says. The premise is not about. It doesn't hinge on my claiming it. The premise is just I have it, and
okay.
The premise is just So premise 1 is yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, fine.
It's not.
No,
it's not. That, it's not the premise. None of the premises hinge on me having the preference.
Right.
The premise
so I don't know
on whether you understand the
so
proposition.
It's not right. So you would agree. I mean, yes. Let's say I understand this specific proposition. Yes, this specific proposition I understand. Yes.
Okay. So then do you agree with premise? So that you agree with premise 2 then. So now do you agree with premise 1 that if you understand the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products, then the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products is not incoherent. Do you agree with that premise?
Yes.
Okay. So then you also agree with the conclusion that the proposition, I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products is not incoherent then, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then given that we said what I mean, given that we said that ethical veganism is just my affirmed proposition about this, then, and we dialed in that affirmed proposition is just I have goals, values, desires that lead me to avoid consumption of animal products, then it's clearly not incoherent because you understand what it means.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not the case that ethical veganism, as defined, as we've dialed the terms in, is not. Okay. Cool. So then the debate proposition, ethical veganism, is nonsense, as we understand the terms, is false.
Correct. But that has nothing to do. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I've listened to.
What do you mean?
So what do you mean? So what I mean is,
but that's just to say you mean something else than what you've told me you meant when you gave me the debate proposition the first time around. Because I asked you already what you meant. I did. No. I spent a lot of time getting meaning, getting clarity. But really, glad this is being recorded.
Yes, incorrect. I told you in the beginning. I have listened to days worth of videos of you, of Vegan Gains, and other ethical vegans. I cannot understand your position. Now, your
Okay,
statement that
I'm gonna tell you my position. Okay.
go ahead.
Do you know what happened to me when I went vegan?
No, I don't remember. I might have heard you in one
Okay.
of the videos.
Okay. So, you know, I'm gonna walk you through my vegan journey. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna go through all the details. Okay. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened when I made the jump. Okay.
Just before that, could you
Mhm.
retract? Could you retract everything you said until now?
Oh, absolutely not. I stand by everything I said until now.
Okay. I mean, it has
I
right.
think
So
it's pretty clear
you're
that
you're.
why would I
No,
do
but I
that? I've
told
given.
you because I told you in the beginning. I am putting a title on you. I asked you in the beginning, would you define yourself as an ethical vegan? You refused.
What?
So
I just
no,
wanted
you
to know what you meant by the proposition you offered me. That's all.
okay?
I
All right. So
asked
I
you.
thought you were
You
refusing.
came
So
to me with a debate
listen.
proposition.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Hold
I
on.
didn't. I said I was happy to answer the question, but before I do
Okay.
that, I
Okay.
would like to know
No
what you mean by
problem.
debate proposition.
No problem. No
Why
problem.
would I retract anything I
Look,
said?
because as I introduced the conversation, I said I've listened to hours and days worth of you guys, and I cannot understand it. That to me is utter nonsense. And then you said, let's define a proposition. Do you understand it? Yes. Therefore, you're wrong. No, the two have nothing to do with each other. So
To
please
be clear,
retract.
so the reason I'm not retracting is because the proposition wasn't just a random proposition. We dialed in that proposition as ethical veganism, and
No,
and I've asked you,
you
and you
did.
signed off on it.
Look.
Well,
Look.
I asked you if it's just what
No.
I mean, the proposition I mean, and you said yes, and so I dialed in what I meant.
No. Ethical veganism is
Mhm.
everything, more or less. You can always retract some part, but it's more or
Okay, well,
less
but can
all
you
the
tell me what you
videos.
mean? What is that? So, what is ethical vegan? When you come to me with a proposition, ethical vegan is utter
I was
nonsense.
going to, I
Mhm.
sent you an email. I basically eviscerated ethical veganism in the 2-line email that I sent you. If you want me to repeat that, I'll gladly repeat it.
What I'd
It's a
like you,
complete.
what I'd like you
Yes.
to give me is the meaning of the terms in your debate proposition, so I know what you mean and would you like debate? Because I tried the first time, and apparently now you
I have
agree
done that. I have done that
Okay,
multiple
so
times. I'll do it again.
ethical veganism is what?
Is the title that I put on all the videos that you have online where you express your position. You have hours and days worth of debates. Your position, we can summarize it as ethical veganism. Now, your entirety, the deliberation of your entire philosophy, I don't even know if to categorize it as a philosophy because I don't know what it is. I'm trying to understand it. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But
So
as I'm trying to hold on, I'm almost finished. As I'm trying to understand it, I can't, and I'm not dumb. So as far as even if I were dumb, it doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, the title ethical veganism, which is the entirety of the corpus of the material you and Vegan Gains and other ethical vegans have online, is utter nonsense. And I'm not saying it, to be. I'm just saying it is. To me, it is. It's a fact. That's all.
Okay, so if I understand the
Please
proposition
retract. So
correctly,
please retract.
no, I don't think I don't see a reason.
Because that is my that no. Please retract because I've now presented the original proposition. I've explained it. Please retract what you said. It has nothing to do with my proposition. Go ahead and
You
retract.
presented the reason I'm not going to retract is because you presented the proposition in different terms. You presented it with a different meaning that you've agreed to the first time around, and anyone listening to this can go back.
Okay.
Excuse me, I let you finish. Don't do that. So the reason is, and anyone listening to the recording can go back and confirm that. And so my statements were completely justified about what I've said, given your responses. Now, if you want to change what you mean by that proposition, that's fine. You can backtrack and change what you meant by the proposition. Totally fine. I'm happy to go back to the drawing board with you and work through that. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. But that's not going to get a retraction of what I've said out of me. It's just going to say, okay, well, what I said before was totally fine given what you've said. But now that you're changing what you've said, I'm happy to work with you and see if I can change what I said.
Not. I think
All
if
right,
you
so
would
the title.
wait,
Yeah. Do you want?
Wait, hold on. I think Ask Me Anything started a recording before I presented my proposition. You were cutting me off. I was and you were you proposed something different.
Okay, so what I'm just trying to do right now is I'm trying to get the next meaning of the proposition. So what I have so far is the title that I put on the videos that you have online. In all the videos that you express your position is utter nonsense. Like, is that the debate proposition?
The title that I put on please repeat. I'm sorry.
The title that I put on all the videos that you have online, in all the videos that you express your position, is utter nonsense. That's what I have from your words.
I mean, the title is not utter nonsense, but if
so what is
when I try to put the corpus of all of the material and make sense of it, so that I can begin to become a vegan, an ethical vegan. In order to become an ethical vegan, I listen. I have no idea. I don't know what to do. And if I have to defend a position, I wouldn't be able to. I don't know what the position is.
Okay, so is the debate proposition just that you don't understand my view?
That's a good question. I guess so, yeah.
Okay, but then that's not going to be a proposition that we disagree on. Because if you're going to come and tell me, well, the debate proposition here is that you don't understand what my view is, we're not going to have a proposition that we disagree on. I'm fine to grant.
I'll help you. Your position is not possible to be understood by a logical person.
So you're saying my position is impossible.
Illogical.
Okay.
Is what? I'm sorry?
It's impossible on a logical modality?
I would say I would conclude it's illogical.
When you say it's illogical, do you mean that it has a contradiction? Do you mean
it has many things? It has many problems. I actually started writing.
Okay, so let's just wait. Let's go one by one. So, is one of those problems that there's a contradiction?
Hold on. I don't want to go through the list because.
Okay, but no. But let's just get an answer to the question. Okay. You can say yes, no, I don't know. Is one of the problems, because you're just saying it has a bunch of logical problems, so I'm just trying to understand, is one of those problems that there's a contradiction? Yes, no, I don't know. Or I lean one way. Is one of the logical problems that there's a contradiction?
I don't remember the list. So I don't remember. Honestly, don't remember what one of them. Okay. There's only one
so
right now
agnostic on there
that I want. Exactly. Yeah.
Does it have an invalid inference?
Invalid. Let me think a second. I can just tell you the answer, and then you tell me what the problem.
Yes, you can say yes or no, or I don't know. Yeah, tell me the answer, please.
No, not the answer to your question. I'll present you my thesis.
No, I just like the answer to my question. Is that okay?
Why can't I simply present you the 2-line email that I wrote you? Why can't we discuss that?
Because I already read your 2-line email, and I don't feel that that's answered my question. So
why don't we just discuss the 2 lines? Why don't you answer my?
Because that's not what I'm interested in knowing right now.
I'll help you understand the 2-line email that I sent you instead of you now having to go through.
So to be clear, so it's not a long list. It's not that list is not that long. So is one of the problems that my view contains an invalid inference?
Hold on. Let me just look up the email that I sent you. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. Where is it?
Well, I don't really have. I'm not really interested in what you've written in the email because that doesn't answer my question. What I'd like to know.
You help me define, right? You help me define the problems, the logical problems that I specified.
Well, I don't think that I don't see how the problems that you specified are logical problems,
then
problems.
Then they're not. Then
okay, but you said it's logically. Wait, but you said it's illogical. So I'm just trying to find out what you mean by illogical. So by illogical,
so let's go through the email, the 2-line email that you keep for some reason.
You know what? I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm just going to copy and paste the email in the chat so we can.
Fantastic.
So we don't have to do this over and over again.
Okay. Fantastic. We haven't done it once yet.
No, we've alluded to this. Okay, here. Here's the content of your email. I am copying and pasting it here. Okay. By ethical, it sounds like objective morality, by which I assume you agree does not exist, so you probably don't mean that. If by ethical you mean your personal preference for morality, then it's just virtue signaling. I can't even believe that you really mean it, and if you do really mean it, that's just your personal opinion preference. It is not more ethical than liking vanilla ice cream, or being a carnivore, or being a rapist, murdering a Nazi. I'd be happy to discuss it online. Okay, so what I'm still trying to figure out. So yeah, first of all, it's actually true. So first of all, how many lines is that?
Depends on the editor. I don't know. Difficult to tell. In my email, I think it came out.
Okay, here's the screenshot. At least on my end.
So it's too long?
No, I'm just pointing out that it looks like it's more than 2 lines. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. Yes.
Okay. Well.
But it's too. There's 2 points here. It's either ethical. The word ethical, you're either alluding to objective morality, which I'm assuming you're going to say no. So done.
Looks like more than 5 sentences to me, but anyway.
No, but it's 2 points. It's 2 bullet points. Choose one of the.
All right. But none of these points actually is answering what I'm trying to figure out.
No.
So
no. Ask me questions about. No. This destroys ethical veganism. We don't need anything else.
I'm just trying to figure out.
If you understand,
wait, but I'm just trying to figure out in what sense my view is illogical. So
no. We don't need it. If you understand this email,
I'm not going to let you just get away with that claim. But hold on, wait. If you're going to say my view is illogical, either retract. You either are going to back off of that, or you're going to explain what you mean by that.
Let's hold off. If it's illogical, because I'm trying to understand. I'm giving you 2 options. What do you mean by ethical?
Well, I've told you.
I guess you could say that yes, it doesn't abide by the. I don't know. I mean, it's so important for you, ethical or not ethical. That's what's important.
Okay. Are you going to answer? I'm just going to ask. Are you going to answer my question when I'm trying to figure out what sense you're talking about when you say my view is illogical? Are you going to answer that, or you're not? Because I don't want my time to be wasted.
What do you mean your time to be wasted? You feel this is a waste of time?
Yeah, I feel I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to check out and starting to be like, okay, well, this is so low value that I might just want to start memeing, because I'm trying to understand, like, I've spent
If
a
my
lot of time
ethical,
trying to meant by the
look,
proposition.
ethical, the word ethical, if the conclusion is
Mhm.
that you claiming to be ethical is no different than a rapist murdering Nazi, do you consider that illogical? I don't know. How would you categorize that? You claiming to be ethical, you might as well claim to be a raping, murdering Nazi. That's my claim. That's a
Okay, so what do you?
logical,
Okay,
right?
so what do you mean?
So,
All right, I'm
yes,
just
go
going to
ahead.
ask you the same question, by the way. Like, I'm not getting baited by any of this. Like,
Is it
the
illogical?
question,
It's the
you.
it's the,
Well, you said it's
yes.
illogical. Remember? You do remember saying that, right? We're not going to have to like rewind the recording.
So wait, hold on. So would you
Okay, so
say
I want to know.
yes? So, but you
I'm
claiming to
going to
be
keep asking the
ethical?
same
Wait,
question. I'm just
I'll
going to
help
keep
you.
asking you the same. I'm good. You
No. So,
can go
but
on.
you claiming
Just
ethical?
so you
But
know,
you
okay,
claiming
fine.
ethical? Wait,
I'm
but you
going to
claiming,
re-ask the same question as soon as you're done. Go ahead.
by you claiming ethical, do you mean that the Nazis were ethical? Yes or no?
Okay, so what do you mean by my view is illogical?
All right. So you don't. That's what I. So fine. You want me to retract illogical? I'll retract illogical.
Okay, cool, great. Now, then, in terms of the debate proposition, what do you mean by ethical veganism is nonsense? If you don't
Ethical
mean my view is
veganism.
illogical,
Because ethical.
do you
If
mean my view is nonsense?
claim that you're ethical, the Nazis claimed they were ethical.
This is not answering the question. What do you mean by ethical veganism is nonsense?
Ethical veganism is just a personal preference. To claim, I mean, it has nothing. It's not ethical. It's just a personal preference.
I'm not understanding. So what do you mean by ethical veganism? Let's just define the terms.
No, I mean,
Ethical veganism is
ethical veganism, whatever it means, is just your personal preference. Just like the
okay.
Nazis had a personal
So you're
preference.
saying my personal preference is nonsense then? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just personal preference. That's all it is.
Wait, but the proposition you came to me was ethical veganism is nonsense, and I asked you what ethical veganism
Right,
is, and you
because you
chose
guys
my
have
preference.
no, because
So
you
that
guys
what
have.
you're saying, I'm just
I'm
trying to get
explaining. I'm
clarity.
explaining. Yeah, clarity.
Is
So you
what
guys,
you're saying then is that my
clarity.
personal
Here, I'll
is
give you
that
clarity.
my personal preference is
I'll
nonsense? Is
answer.
that what you're saying? So okay, tell me if that's
You
what you're saying.
have hours and hours and hours of debates, but it's just a personal preference. You prefer to be an what you call an ethical veganism. You just
Again,
whatever.
I'm
You
just
just
going to ask
prefer.
you. After
Yes.
this ramble is done, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yes. What's the question?
The question is the debate proposition then my preferences are nonsense? Is that the debate proposition?
No, my
Okay.
proposition is
So
that
then what do
ethical
you mean by
veganism is just personal preference.
wait? The debate proposition you offered me was ethical veganism is nonsense. Are you saying you want to change the debate
No, what
proposition?
I'm
Then?
saying, no. Ethical veganism, as it is a corpus of endless of hours of debates, is 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 nonsense because
What
ethical
is
veganism
ethical
is just.
veganism?
Let me finish. Because ethical veganism is just a personal preference, just like liking vanilla ice cream. No different.
Okay, so you say ethical veganism is a personal preference. So is the debate proposition then a personal preference is nonsense?
No. Your
Okay.
corpus
So
of
then what?
hours of debates. No, let me explain. Your
Okay.
corpus of hours of presentation of ethical veganism as if there is something to it. That's nonsense. There's nothing to it. It's just a personal preference, nothing else.
Okay. So the debate part, my corpus of hours of presenting ethical veganism is nonsense. That's the debate proposition?
Repeat, please.
My corpus of hours presenting ethical veganism is nonsense. That's the debate proposition, correct?
Because.
Wait. Okay, so
What?
because I can
because ethical veganism is just a personal preference, just like preferring vanilla ice cream over chocolate ice cream. No different. Just a personal preference.
Okay. So my corpus of hours presenting ethical veganism is nonsense because ethical veganism is just a personal preference. So we can just substitute ethical veganism with
Wait, what did you say? Wait, did you write it somewhere? Can I read it?
My corpus of hours of presenting ethical veganism is nonsense because ethical veganism is just a personal preference.
Yes, just like preferring vanilla over chocolate ice cream. Yes.
All right. So an ethical veganism is just, by ethical veganism we just mean a personal preference then.
At the end of the day, that's what you should present it as. Yes.
Well, I didn't ask if I should present it. I'm asking what you.
ethical.
I'm asking what you mean.
Using the word.
Excuse me. You're not.
Yes.
I'm just asking if the way you're. I'm just working with your proposition. I'm saying if you're telling me that ethical veganism is just a personal preference, I'm just trying to ask if ethical veganism and just a personal preference are synonyms for each other, so I can substitute and simplify the proposition. That's all.
No, everything.
Okay.
Everything.
So ethical veganism is something over and above, or something different than personal.
It doesn't exist. It's a misnomer. Stop using the word ethical.
Wait, I'm not understanding.
You're just vegans. There's
so now
nothing ethical.
I'm having trouble understanding what ethical veganism in the proposition is now. So
me too. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's your proposition. This is your
No, the corpus. The corpus that we title ethical veganism, the corpus, having hours of debates is nonsense. It's just a personal preference. There's nothing to debate.
Let me just write down what we mean here. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
The corpus, and you mean my corpus, right?
And Vegan Games, and whoever you feel you represent.
Of hours of presenting my view on veganism, ethical veganism, is nonsense. Is that the proposition?
Oh, I see. My corpus of hours of presenting. Yes. Yeah, you could say that.
So my corpus of hours of presenting my view on ethical veganism is nonsense. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a couple of things. So first off, I still don't know what ethical veganism is in this proposition.
It's just the title of the corpus. Just say the corpus. Remove ethical veganism. It's just the corpus. Okay. The fact that you have hours, the fact that you debate hours, ethics and philosophy, and you teach philosophy, and you teach what do you teach? Logic, the rule, the proposition. You don't need that. It's just a personal preference. You just like vanilla ice cream. End of discussion.
So my corpus of hours of presenting my view is nonsense. That's the proposition now?
Oh my God. Whatever. I mean, why even writing it?
Well, I wrote it because you told me to take it out. So I'm rewriting it with it out, as you've told me to do.
Why are you writing it? I don't understand. Okay, whatever.
I'm writing it to keep track because I'm trying to keep track. So,
okay.
So you told me to take ethical veganism out, so I did that now. My corpus of hours of presenting my view is nonsense, is what I'm left with.
Okay.
Okay. And by nonsense, do you mean incoherent?
I honestly, I wrote I started writing bullet points how to attack your position, and I just ended up with, at the end of the day, it's just
Do you think that you're answering my question right now? Like when I ask you...
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just think it's only a psychoanalysis can truly do justice to.
Can I just ask you? Did like Alex put you up to troll me or something? Like, is this like? Is this a troll? Is it a troll? Like, did Alex?
Hold on, let me just switch my audio. Can you hear me?
Yo,
I can hear you. I just
I'm
want to
gonna
know
this
if you're like.
actually sounds like the perfect time
Hold on,
to
no, I need to
speak.
switch to my phone's dying.
One second there, Slave. Yeah, this actually sounds like the perfect time to speak because I don't think Alex put him up to this, but I know Alex actually wants to get a word or two in. Do you want to let him speak, Avi?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, yeah, I promise I'm not trolling. I got the notification, so I jumped in because this was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm not seeing the reason for the confusion, Mr. Slave. I mean, like they're vegans for ethical reasons. Like they think that it's really fucked up that cows have to die for us to eat. Like what is confusing about that? I mean, I'm not a vegan personally, but their position seems extremely clear to me. Like, I don't understand how you're confused by their position.
I'm also an ethical vegan. I also feel for the cows. That's he doesn't want to go into any points. He wants to have a discussion about propositions. He wants to have a course in logic. He doesn't want to talk about the cows' feelings.
Wait,
I'd
so
love to talk about.
so if you're an ethical reason, then what's even being debated?
I'm
mean-
trying to understand. Like he offered me a debate. The reason this is happening, to be clear for everyone, is that he offered me a debate proposition. And so when someone offers me a debate proposition, what I do is I try to understand what the proposition means to see if there's something we disagree on. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm met with such resistance to even as much as making it's like pulling teeth just to define one of the terms, just to extract some meaning on one of the terms.
I'll repeat.
I just want to know what you.
Ethical.
Here's where we were. We were at the word nonsense, and I'm trying to.
I cannot make sense. I
Okay,
cannot,
we'll
for the life of me.
Let's let Alex get his take in because I don't know if he wanted to like fully join the conversation or just say some things. Did you kind of like have some shit that you wanted to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, like this is a fucking plot twist. Ms. Slave is saying he's also an ethical vegan. So how can you say that it's nonsense if you're literally an ethical vegan yourself? Like I'm so lost right now.
I'm an ethical vegan that eats cheeseburgers 4 times a day. I still feel for the cow. You said that you feel for the cow. I feel for the cow.
Wait, bro, you're not a vegan then because you fucking eat meat. Like what? How can you be a vegan?
They don't say you cannot eat meat. They talk about human extension of human rights to animals. Nothing to do with eating meat.
Vegans don't eat meat, bro.
That's not true. Listen to them.
Okay.
Listen to them. Of course they eat meat.
Do you know what meat he eats, Alex?
Do I know what is?
Yeah, but no. Do you know what meat he eats?
No.
It's my soy sausage.
I go to Costco and I get the best beef they have. That's my cheeseburger.
All right, Avi, this sounds like a really fucking dumb question, but I'm like 99.999% sure it's what I said it is. But you guys, like, obviously vegans don't fucking eat meat. That's obvious,
That's
right?
not true. That's not true.
As you know, well, for example, he's an ethical vegan and he eats my soy sausage, and so he does eat meat. He also drinks my soy milk, and so he also drinks milk after he's done eating my soy sausage.
No. Okay. An ethical, right? An ethical.
Real talk. I mean, that's how he is an ethical vegan and eats meat.
Okay.
And
here, I drive. Wait, is it ethical to eat roadkill?
Yeah, so vegans don't eat meat as a general heuristic. However, there are certain exceptions where it wouldn't be a problem on veganism. Roadkill is one example.
Answer
it's not ethically problematic.
Hold on. Okay. Do vegans eat meat of roadkill?
Generally, they don't.
Not generally. Is it ethical? According to your ethical veganism, is it ethical?
It would be ethical. It would be ethical. It would be not, or at least not ethically problematic to eat roadkill.
Answer the question with a yes or no, please. Is it or is it not ethical?
When you say ethical, does it just mean?
Vegan?
Does that mean I'm asking a clarifying question?
According to your
When you say
vegan,
okay,
according to your veganism,
can I just
according
ask
to
a
your
excuse me? Can I just ask a clarifying question? When you say ethical, do you mean permissible or do you mean a morally good thing?
just is it? I don't. Is it? Okay, there you go. Anyway, Alex.
Wait, can you
they
just
eat meat.
answer the
The answer
clarifying
is
question, please?
the answer. No. The answer I'll answer for you. The answer is
Wait,
yes.
what? You're gonna
Ethics
answer-
eat meat.
Okay, so I don't know why you asked me the question if you were just going to answer for me.
What I really want is I want Alex to explain the psychology of Mr. Slave to Avi, but I don't know if that's doable without being mean.
I think I can do it without.
I think
But
Avi doesn't fully understand what he's dealing with here, so he's confused by the reactions he's getting. Doesn't get what's happening.
yeah, Avi. So I was telling Isaac this like over text. You guys are like literally in a different universe. So you're speaking to Slave in English, but he only speaks Chinese. You guys are operating completely different spheres. So like for example, when you and I had our debate, like I could understand what you were saying when you were giving me like we were talking about complex logic. He is in a completely different universe. He doesn't understand what you're talking about. Not because he's dumb. He's probably a pretty smart guy, but he's in a completely different universe. So there's just too much. Like you guys are speaking different languages right now, basically.
I don't know what
What do you think? What is his motivation? Was the question.
my motivation.
Something about motivation.
Yeah, why do you think he'll just sit here like obstinately arguing, refusing to answer the most basic questions, not being willing to even like articulate what it is that he disagrees with Avi about? Like what is behind the constant refusal?
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to articulate my position. I'm literally doing my best. I honestly am doing my best. I don't know what you're talking about.
But Slave, why don't you just say like you're kind of not engaged in what Avi's saying? Just like say what your proposition is. Like
My
we've been on
proposition is look. My proposition is
like
here.
this.
I'll say it
This whole thing could have been summed up in like 2 minutes. Like just tell
I
him.
know. That's what I'm saying. I've
But
listened.
but
I've
it's largely
listened.
you're not engaging with what he's saying.
I'm trying. That's why I wanted a third party moderator like you. I mean, let's have a normal debate on a third party moderator like your channel.
No, I don't want to host a debate. It's not really like it's not really what my audience like cares about. But it's fascinating to listen to. But what I'm saying is again, like you're not engaging. Just like if you just answer his question, we can move on to the next part of debate. Like Avi's pretty technical. Like he wants to understand exactly what your proposition is. He's a little different than me.
I explained multiple times. I explained again. I have spent days by now listening to their content, and to me it doesn't make sense. I cannot make sense of it. If I have to be their lawyer and if they hire me to represent ethical veganism, to be the spokesman for ethical veganism, I can't. I cannot make sense of it.
One second. Wait, 1 second, Alex. You see how whenever you describe that though, Mr. Slave, it's kind of turning into this big cascading sentence. Like you're in like a philosophy server right now. Like we do stuff like formal logic in here, right? Do you understand what a proposition is?
I mean, sure, the word, sure, proposition, yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
But
no.
I mean,
so Slave, don't do that. Don't do that. No, Slave. What is a proposition?
A proposition
you can say I don't know.
I mean, a debate is composed of propositions.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking what is a proposition. And you can say
I don't know the formal definition.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't and that's fine. I wouldn't expect you to if you don't spend your time doing philosophy. But this is the kind of stuff that's causing the hang-up. So a proposition, which is what Avi's looking for here, is a truth-apt sentence. So that means a sentence that's apt for truth. Like it can be true or false. So, for instance, the sky is blue. That could be true or that could be false, right?
Nothing in reality can be true or false. Reality doesn't
No,
lend
just
itself to
just
truth and
slave
false.
slave
Barely.
just
So, like,
I'm
one
just
that could be specific is like veganism doesn't make sense because animals don't have feelings or something like that, right? That's a statement that can
No,
be true.
it's not, but that's not. No, no, it's not like that. I mean, but I think
no,
the
slave,
email
you're kind of
summarizes.
cascading off. Like I'm trying to help you understand what Avi's doing so you can have your conversation with him. Just maybe I'll just try for one more second here. You understand
Mm-hmm.
that a proposition is a sentence that's capable of being true or false. So something like a question, like how are you? That's not something that can be true or false, right? Something like a command, go get me a glass of soy milk. That can't be true or false. That's a command, right? But something like I'm sitting in a chair right now, that could be true or that could be false. That's a proposition. Do you understand?
Yeah, but I
Okay,
mean,
can I keep
I
going?
mean, but no,
I'm trying to
no,
So,
get
what
but
through
I'm
some here. So
trying to figure out is specifically what your proposition is when it comes to veganism. So, what
exactly.
specifically
no,
about
no,
veganism?
no, no,
Listen
no,
to him,
no, no,
slave.
no, no,
Listen
no,
to what
no,
he's saying. Listen
no,
to what he's
no,
saying.
no, no.
He's
Hold
correct
on,
with what
hold
he's
on.
saying right here. Just
let,
listen
let
for
me
a second.
let me finish my let me finish my statement. So the question is, what about ethical veganism doesn't make sense to you?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I even the example of I'm sitting in a chair. I mean, that's undefined. I
Okay.
mean,
Is
Just
there
using
can you think
I mean, what? I mean, what is a chair?
so
What is
slave?
I? I mean, it's
Did you?
undefined.
Yeah. So when you said the chair is undefined, is that something that you
Everything,
think is
everything in
true?
your sentence, even I, is undefined.
Okay, and that
Isaac,
sentence
he's
you
doing
just said.
presupposition. That's so funny.
Sorry.
What?
He's doing presupposition. Remember how you told me that Andrew does that to
Oh,
me all
like
the time? That's,
presuppositionalist Christianity or
yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I okay. Just slave. If you now,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, you're saying you're having trouble with the concept of a proposition because a proposition is supposed to be a truth apt sentence, and you have some trouble with the concepts of like truth and falsity.
Correct. There's no truth and false in the universe,
Yeah,
in my experience.
and that sentence that you just said, what do you think the truth value of that is?
It doesn't have truth value. It's just my feelings. Everything at the end of the day is just feelings.
I'm not even sure what you mean by truth, but yeah, I don't know if I would
And
actually even know how to communicate with someone who doesn't have a concept of truth.
Isaac, the same exact way as that hero. He's doing presupposition. You have to do exactly what you told me to do. Assuming that we don't live in a matrix, it's like shit like that. It's so
Well,
funny that he's doing presupposition without even realizing it.
it,
no, if you, I mean,
it
if you
is.
try to nail down logic, then that's ridiculous. You don't need to nail
What do
down.
you
I mean,
mean
I'm
by
not. I
nail
mean,
down logic?
excuse
Avi, do
me.
you want to take over, or like I don't want to fucking take over this whole thing?
Yeah,
You were talking
Oh
to.
no, I was actually enjoying it a lot better when you were doing your
Okay,
thing.
but
Go
all right.
ahead.
if we end up
Don't let me
getting a
stop you.
proposition, we are passing this back to you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. If you get a proposition that you understand, Isaac, and you understand the terms
Yeah.
and you understand what it means, you go for it.
Yeah.
Let me,
That's
Isaac, help me. Isaac, help me create a proposition so that we
Okay,
can pass
yeah.
it back to
I
Dr.
will
That's
Isaac.
help
actually
you.
what Avi
I will
was
help you.
trying to do with you, just for the record.
Fine, fine.
Yeah.
I'll help. I'm on your side. Definitely on
Just
your side.
Yeah.
sorry. I was
Okay.
gonna say.
Although, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Isaac. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I cut you off a few times there. You go.
Okay, so it's a very simple question that I want you to engage with, Slave. What exactly about ethical veganism doesn't make sense to you?
So
I
as
think
I
he's saying he might need a bit of help
summarized,
to get there, though, Alex. Just to be fair to Slave, I think he's saying he's not totally sure what his proposition that he disagrees with is, but he has a sense
exactly.
that there's something there, and he wants help
Exactly.
Wants us to help him articulate.
Exactly.
Okay, that is fine.
Oh.
We can definitely do that. That's fair, and that is what Avi was trying to do. But it might not have been obvious if you don't know sort of how we operate in here.
Fantastic.
Before we do that, before we try to find out what the proposition is, that will be hard if you don't understand the concept of a proposition. Like, do you honestly not have a concept of truth and falsity?
Correct. I am actually a brain theoretician, so I actually know what thinking is. And your idea of logic.
Right now, we are having a debate. That is a true statement. Or a false statement would be, right now, I'm on the moon. That is a false statement.
It's neither true nor false. There is no truth and false. When you look for absolutes, you cannot find. No, it's impossible. There are no absolutes.
We live in a matrix. Okay. Right now, we are having a debate. That is true.
There are no absolutes. You'll never get an absolute answer. I can give you.
Wait, this was a bad idea. This was definitely not the right strategy. One second. Okay, so you know what? What I think is that Mr. Slave probably is actually making use of the concept of truth and falsity all the time and not realizing it. And maybe we can just talk about as long as he can tell which things are propositions. Even if maybe he doesn't have clarity about the truth stuff, maybe that will be enough. Like,
Isaac,
wait, please, Isaac, Slave, just one sec, because we're gonna go to helping you build the proposition. Okay, you'll get to talk a lot at that part. Okay, but just before that part, yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we're clear about what a proposition is, because we have to know what kind of thing we're trying to get here before we start building it, right? So something like, "How are you doing today?" Do you think that's a proposition?
Undefined. Undefined. If you look for
wait, no, one second. I'm talking about the concepts of, like, you know what it is to, like, ask a question or to make a command or something, right?
If you look for absolute, if you come from what's known as logic.
Wait, Slave, please don't do that. Just
yeah.
You know what a question is, right? Or a command.
As long as as long as we don't go.
Don't you know
as
what a
long
command
I understand. Yes, I understand English, sure, but as long as you don't nail it down to absolutes, I'm happy to have a discussion.
I don't know what that means, but just
true and false.
Okay,
there's no true and false.
That's fine. There's, just for the record, Slave, there's different logics out there that aren't bivalent, right? A bivalent logic says there's just true and false. There's fuzzy logics that say there's, like, halfway truth states in between. There's weird logics that say you can have contradiction.
I'll tell you.
So I'm not forcing everything. I'm not forcing a logic or a truth theory or anything on you. Okay, that's not being done.
Right.
I'm just trying to make sure that we know what a proposition is before we start trying to generate one. So, and I'm trying to do it without talking about truth or falsity and just by examples. Okay, so I just want to make sure. You know what a question or a command is.
Let me help. Okay, I'll tell you. Everything for me, on the macro, I can agree with. But as you go into the fine details, then you lose it. So you can say, yeah, chair, yeah, more or less I know what a chair is.
Yeah,
but do I really know what a chair is? Absolutely not.
I don't know what you mean by really know. But when the first thing that you said yes to, just think of the concepts like that. Okay, if you want. Whatever you mean by absolute,
that's macro.
Or all that stuff,
sure.
Just that's not what I'm asking. Okay, when you said I know what a chair is, that's the kind of concept I'm talking about. Okay.
So the answer, when you say
wait,
is it true or false?
No, just forget about true or false. We're not going to talk about true or false. I'm trying a different strategy to convey the concept of a proposition.
Hold on, Isaac. Hold on, Isaac.
It would be so much easier to talk to you if you would just play along.
But you see that it's not so easy.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm like realizing, like, how insane the patience is that you have, Alex. This is
I'll be honest. I think Slave is being a little bad. You're not engaging in the like you emailed Avi for a debate. You said that ethical veganism doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be hard for you to say, here's why it doesn't make sense. Like, what is
no, I wrote an email. Question.
It's a very simple question.
I wrote an email. That email stands for itself. That email alone eviscerates ethical veganism.
Just say right.
Slave.
Just explain about ethical veganism doesn't make sense to you, and then the debate can begin. This debate hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, you could do that if, or we could help you build it. But I just want you to understand what a proposition is before we do that. And whatever these concerns you're raising are about, like concepts having to be like absolute or whatever, what I don't need any of that. Okay, when the way that you're normally talking, when you refer to Alex or when you refer to a chair, okay, that's how clear I need concepts to be. We don't need any of this absolute or any of this. Okay, you understand the concepts of like a statement or a question,
Oh,
right?
of course, yeah.
Right. Okay. And then further, right? So a statement, that's just really another word for a proposition. Okay. So I just want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you understand the categories. So if I say something like,
Mm-hmm.
"How are you doing today?" That's a question. If I say something like, uh, "The sky is blue," what is that?
Statement.
Right. Okay. If I say something
Proposition.
like exactly, if I say something, okay, so you probably do get this. Let me just try a few more just to make sure that we understand. Go get me a glass of water. What is that?
Neither.
Yeah,
It's a command.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. I'm kind of tired, but I'm still gonna talk to Mr. Slave because I don't really know why.
That's a statement.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you get it. So a proposition is a statement. We're just trying to get, basically, if we can, maybe we won't be able to, but get to a statement that you disagree with about veganism. So now is the time for you to get to talk a bunch, but we're going to try to take what you say and use it to build the thing you disagree with into a proposition, and then you can talk to Avi about it. So I'm not going to
Okay.
argue back against you
Ethical.
here at all. I'm just going to try to get your concept, make a proposition of
Okay.
it.
Ethical veganism is just a personal preference.
Mm,
Just like liking vanilla ice cream, just like wanting to be a rapist, murderous Nazi.
okay.
Do you think every single possible thing you do is a personal preference?
Yes, that's preference theory, actually. Everything is a personal preference.
Sorry, what was the
That's
Okay,
question?
so
that's
then I don't
rationality theory.
there's a debate here if that's how you define personal preference. Like if
No, it's not
people
how I
typically
define.
people
That's it's a branch of mathematics
yeah,
called
typically
I think.
people
Mhm.
talk about Nazis, they think of that as like a really fucked up, unethical thing, right? That's how 99% of people would look at Nazis. They would look at it different than like fucking eating vanilla. But if you define every single part of life as a personal preference, then then your definition of personal preference is radically different than most people, which is fine. But then there's not a disagreement here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Avi, but
There is gonna be. You're actually in one of the larger anti-realist vegan communities, so Avi might not even disagree with you about a statement like this. But Slave, just if you look in general chat, do I have your phrasing right? I can't remember exactly what you said. Was it veganism is a personal preference? Is just a personal
Ethical
preference?
veganism is a personal
Ethical
preference,
veganism.
yes.
Uh, okay. Ethical veganism is just a personal preference. And to be
Hmm.
clear, do we need to add the word ethical there? Is that distinct to you from just veganism?
No, it's just the title of your position, so it doesn't matter. It's just that
Okay.
it's just the summary of the corpus of you guys.
Okay, that's a bit actually difficult to understand. So let's try to get a bit more
Exactly.
clear about that. When you
So
say
you could say ethical veganism is just it's not even that, you see. I mean, the claim to claim that you are a person who claims he is an ethical vegan, that's just virtue signaling. I
okay,
mean,
you see how that's a
it's not
slightly
even.
different proposition though than that it's a personal preference. This is kind of what was happening with Avi. He's trying to do one at a time. You can have multiple
No,
and do them one after the other, but he
it's
wants to
still
do one at a time
no,
though.
it's still a personal preference to virtue signal. Everything is a personal preference.
Yeah,
To virtue signal is still.
no, I didn't say it's not a personal preference, and I didn't say that it's what you said was wrong either. But I just said it's a different proposition. To say it's virtue signaling is different than saying it's a personal preference. So we want to try to figure out which you really want to argue about. Is the main argument that veganism is virtue signaling, or that it's a personal preference, or that it's both?
Um, yeah, I would say it's virtue signaling. Signaling. It's psychological. Yeah.
Okay, so ethical veganism is virtue signaling. That's
Yeah.
what you'd like to debate about. Okay, and now I think Avi probably knows what virtue signaling is, but I think he will want to make sure that we're clear about what ethical veganism means here in this sentence. And you can see it in general chat, right, where I've written that there. I'm putting it in text as we work on it. Like, we would like to be really clear in here and focus and get the exact proposition. So I put it in.
I mean, ethical veganism is. I mean, it's a personal preference, but it's all. Yeah, you could say it's also. I mean, it's you personally prefer to virtue signal through ethical veganism. It's a type. You can categorize ethical veganism as first of all as virtue signaling, and virtue signaling is a personal preference.
Okay, let me just ask you this. Are you trying to say that vegans are wrong?
I don't think right and wrong, it's like disguise wrong. I don't see how that's possible, how that's logical. It doesn't fit.
Do you think killing human beings and eating their flesh is right or wrong?
There is no right and wrong. That's a great point. There's no right and wrong, right? We don't believe in absolute. We reject absolute morality. So undefined,
Keep
absolutely
in mind,
undefined.
you're in an anti-realist community here, so most people.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's a view in metaethics, but basically it's like not moral realism. So when people in here say X is right, X is wrong, they're just saying I prefer X, I I don't prefer Y. They're not really saying any.
That's a problem. That's a problem because you're testifying about yourself, and that's unacceptable testimony. It doesn't mean anything.
Let's not go off on that tangent though.
Yeah.
So virtue signaling. Okay, so is the thing you want to argue with Avi about the proposition ethical veganism is virtue signaling? Or did you want to
At the end of the day, it's a personal. It's just a personal preference. It doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter that it's virtue signaling. Just that the reason you do it.
Which do you want though, Slave? Do you want to argue with him about whether it's virtue signaling or whether it's a personal preference?
It doesn't. I think personal preference is better.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, there might not be any disagreement about that. Like the way you define personal preference, I think Avi agree with you by your definition.
Yeah, let's bring Avi in actually.
I didn't define anything.
Well, the thing is, personal preference, he'll know what that means. Ethical veganism, that we want to get clear about that. But can we just sum that up as the view that, like, roughly the view that you oughtn't, like, kill animals or something like this?
This is the problem. This is exactly where the problem is. When I try to put together your philosophy, I can't. And I can't even categorize it as a philosophy. You tell me, is it a philosophy? What is it? Is it a legal system? What is it? I honestly don't know.
Veganism?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there's a... Well, veganism, you can take whatever definition you want, but we're using veganism as a kind of... It's say that you have your own position, right? And then there's a label that seems to capture something close to your position, and people know what that is. That's kind of what veganism is to us. Veganism isn't perfectly defined. You can use like the Vegan Society definition, or you could just use whatever comes up when you Google it. But that's not going to give you like a robust understanding of like what we believe about animal ethics. Like, to get that, you would just have to actually like talk to us and explore our views.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That I've listened to hours.
But then it's okay. Wait. So just to be clear, you're not sure if there is anything that you disagree with Avi about.
I don't understand. At the end of the day, if I have to be your spokesperson, I wouldn't know how to answer any question. If I would have to practice your philosophy tomorrow morning, I can't. I don't know what the rules are. I honestly don't. I can't. I don't understand I don't understand what it is.
Okay.
What you're trying to say.
Right. So you don't actually have any.
You realize. I was just going to say, you do realize that not understanding something is different than disagreeing. For example, I don't understand Japanese, but I don't think Japanese is wrong. I just don't understand it, but I could understand it.
That was my proposition. It's utter nonsense. I don't
But
understand it.
okay.
It's nonsense.
Wait, hang on, Slave. Those two are completely different things. Not understanding something is totally different than something being utter nonsense.
Yeah, you
After
do
you
want to be
listen,
careful about hopping around too quickly between propositions like that. Like we're gotta focus on one thing at a time.
Alex, if you spend hours and days trying to understand someone's position and you can't, the conclusion is it's nonsense. I don't have another
Okay,
conclusion.
wait. That's different. Is what you want to argue about that the position is nonsense, and then the argument that it's nonsense has to do with you not understanding it after a long time watching it? That I would understand.
I mean, it's beyond not understanding. I mean, at this point, I have a
don't you?
psychoanalysis.
Okay, but here is the. Did you want to argue with Avi about whether ethical veganism is a personal preference or whether ethical veganism is nonsense? Or are you just saying I can't make sense of any of this? In which case you just don't even disagree with Avi. You just don't really have a view.
No, I have a view after analyzing everything I could find of you guys online.
Remember the question. Remember the question, though.
I mean, I could
remind you if you want.
So, no. So, I could argue many things. I could propose many things, and we could debate many things that I believe about you. But
remember the question.
I mean,
Slave.
Yeah. Ultimately,
I understand. Did you want to argue with Avi? He wants to pick. This is insane that this is taking so long, dude. He wants to pick one proposition to talk about initially. If you want to talk about another, you can do that after. So two that we've come to so far are ethical veganism is a personal preference, and which I don't think he's going to disagree with you on, honestly. And then okay, so we can just drop that. He's not gonna disagree on that. And then the other was ethical veganism is nonsense. Now that he would disagree with you about. Do you want to argue with him about that, or do you want to argue with him about something else?
Here, let me ask you. So, I mean, the ethical veganism is not more ethical than liking vanilla ice cream or being a rapist, murderous Nazi.
Yeah, that's a different proposition. Like we can what Isaac is saying is that you can discuss any proposition you want, but you have to pick one. You can't just like keep adding new ones or changing it. Like you have to pick.
That's the email. That is literally the email. I just told you verbatim the email.
A bunch of different stuff all at once. We're trying to get Slave. What do you not understand about this? We're trying to get one proposition.
The word ethical. There's nothing ethical about veganism more than liking ice cream or liking being a murderous rapist Nazi.
He probably doesn't disagree with you about that. By ethical, do you mean something like metaphysically robust? Because we don't believe in shit like that in here.
I know. So the word ethical is insignificant.
If by ethical you mean something metaphysically robust, then yeah, he's going to say, I don't think anything's like that. So Nazis are on the same page as vanilla ice cream with respect to that.
That's the first line of the email. So he could have responded, I totally agree with your email.
Okay, so you don't disagree.
Just engage.
Sorry?
What?
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Just engage with what Isaac is saying. Don't keep referencing the email. Just engage with with the words that are coming out of Isaac's mouth.
I sent an email. Isaac is saying that Avi agrees with the email. So
Avi's an
Avi invited me for a
anti-realist, yeah.
debate.
Avi's an
No.
anti-realist. He's not going to say that there's any. He's not going to say that there are like, metaphysical weird moral properties out there or something like this, and that if you use a term like right or wrong to refer to that kind of thing, that there's any difference between vanilla ice cream and Nazi Germany, because he just doesn't think things like that exist. He's an anti-realist about morality.
But Avi will disagree with ethical veganism is nonsense, and he will disagree with you that being an ethical vegan is virtue signaling. Those are two propositions that he's going to disagree with. So all we're saying is just pick one of those. Like, for example, I think ethical veganism doesn't make sense because cows are a lower form of life. That's a proposition. Now,
Yes.
ethical vegan doesn't make sense because we need meat to survive and be healthy, right? Those are propositions. So you have two potential ones that will be a cause of debate. The ones that you propose is, again, ethical veganism is nonsense. That's one. Ethical veganism is virtue signaling. That's two. Just pick one of those and debate can begin. Like, this shouldn't be that hard to just like come to a proposition.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Or if you really want, generate another one. But yeah, like those are propositions.
Yeah.
Those are good. Pick one of those.
But yeah,
no,
just
I mean,
we're still
what you're telling me is that the body of the email, if we neglect the subject title of the email,
we're not referencing the email. Like, just forget about the email. Like, engage with me
Oh.
as a. I haven't seen your email. Isaac hasn't seen your email. Just forget about the email and just answer the simple question that Isaac and I are asking you, which is, again, what is the proposition you're trying to put out? I want your answer not to reference the email, not to go on a tangent, but just simply answer that question.
Is this the email? Because I think I might have literally the second you said Isaac has never seen your email. I think I might have seen the email. Is this it that you posted, Avi?
let me see.
He's trying to unmute.
There were two messages.
Yes.
I'm posting the first. This is the first message I got, which was, "Hi, Dr. Avi. How are you? I'm looking to debate ethical vegans. Resolution: ethical veganism is utter nonsense."
Yeah,
Would
there.
you be
He knows what a fucking oh my god, Slave! This whole time you've known what a fucking debate resolution is. Are you kidding me? This is
There we go. We have
that's
proposition.
What?
Ethical
You hit
veganism
him
is
with
nonsense.
the proposition. Sorry. What did you say, Alex?
No, I said we have the proposition. Ethical veganism is nonsense. There we go. The debate can begin. Like, again, I really don't know why it takes 40 minutes to just get to something like that simple, but there we go. Like, are you okay with arguing that, Slave? And then if you say yes, the debate can begin, and me and Isaac can.
We have come a full circle. This is how this whole thing began.
We don't need the
It's
meta. Right now, Slave, we don't want meta where you talk about the conversation. We did this, we did that, circled. No, just right here. This is the proposition. Ethical veganism is utter nonsense. Is that what you want to argue with Avi about?
Keep in mind, there's two terms Isaac in that proposition I don't understand.
I know. I know that if he says yes, we can't just pass it to you. That I still have to sit here and get this into understand the term meaning sufficiently that I can say I know what it means and then pass it back to you. But I'm committed to make you fucking debate Mr. Slave. So we'll see. Slave, are you okay with this proposition?
Cancel my plans for tomorrow because this is going to take a while. But yeah.
Yeah, just may as well completely I mean, if you think you're gonna get anything done with like Slave's level of stubbornness, I mean, this seems like we literally could just be here indefinitely. Okay, so Slave, are you fine with this resolution? Ethical veganism is utter nonsense, or do you want something else?
I was fine, but Dr. Avi, we went through the whole
meta.
thing.
Stop the meta, Slave, and
don't just answer the question.
But,
yo, Alex, just for the record, when you speak, you often cut out initially. I don't know if it's just when people talk over you, but if you get closer or something to your mic, maybe you can avoid that.
Okay. But yeah, I'm telling Slave, like, don't go on a monologue. Don't like analyze Avi. Don't reference the email. Just answer the question. It's either yes, I'm okay with it, or no, I would prefer to discuss something else.
I mean, my main point was that there's nothing ethical about ethical veganism. because there's nothing ethical.
Why
There
does
is
your
no
sentence
ethics.
start with my main point? Just before you go off to say anything else, just answer this. You want to debate this
Yes.
proposition or something else? Or do you not want to debate anymore?
I mean, you're telling me
Stop.
that
Slave, why are your sentences starting like that? Do you understand that what I'm looking for? I'm looking for you to start the sentence by saying, I would like to debate that, or no, I wouldn't like to debate that. I'd like to debate this other thing, or no, I don't even want to debate. I'm saying something to you, and I'm trying to interact with you, and when you just say random stuff at me, it's like you're not hearing what I'm saying. We're not really interacting. So you want that proposition, or would you like another one, or you want no proposition?
wait. So ethical veganism is just personal preference.
Well,
Do,
I'm asking about. I was asking about the one in the
wait,
email where you said it's utter nonsense.
but I gave a body to the email. The body is, I mean, I explained my argument.
But
Not engaging. Stop. Okay. What your response? I don't want you to reference the email. I don't want you to analyze Avi. I don't want you to go on a monologue. I just want you to get a very clear answer to a very simple question. And the options are this: option one, yes, that is the proposition I want to debate. Option number two, no, I want to debate a different proposition. Option three, I don't actually want to debate anymore. Those are your options.
No,
One of those.
ethical veganism is just personal preference. Can we
Oh
debate
my.
that?
I
Wait,
Okay, so
what?
you want to
I
do?
think that was him saying a proposition. I don't think
Okay.
Avi's going to disagree with you about that. Is ethical veganism roughly just this kind of view we have about treating animals in a particular way, as in like not eating them, not using them for food? This kind of general attitude we have towards animals. Is that what you mean by ethical veganism?
It does. Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, I do think Avi's just going to agree with you on that proposition. Then I don't know if that will be something you can debate. Avi, do you accept that, right? That ethical veganism, as defined, is just
Yeah.
a personal preference.
If you define ethical veganism as our preferences toward our actions toward animals, then clearly ethical veganism.
I didn't say our preferences. I said something loose.
Our attitude.
No, I didn't say that either. I just said something like our general like mode of like treatment of animals. Maybe I said something fucked. I think I said something like that though.
I think you said attitude, but
Okay,
but it's fine.
sure. Yeah.
Well, our mode of general wait a minute. General treatment of animals are actions.
No, I think I did say I did say our fucking attitudes. I said our general attitudes about how animals should be treated, about not supporting like factory farming them or making fur out of them. That general cluster of shit.
Yeah, our general attitudes are about treatment of animals, our personal preferences. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, so that actually isn't a point of disagreement, Mr. Slave. You could try to find another point of disagreement, but that one you guys agree on.
No, I mean that's it. I mean, okay, so but you realize that the Nazis. I mean, it's no from an ethical point of view, it's no different than a rapist, murderous Nazi.
When you say
Okay, so
The preference to be
potential disagreement. I'm pretty sure Avi would say that being an ethical vegan is not the same as being a
identical,
Alex,
absolutely
I can
identical.
explain to you because I think you'll understand. Actually, this is what will happen with this. Okay, if by ethical they mean something like kind of like metaphysical, something like robust, then Avi's just going to say that doesn't exist. So there's no difference with respect to that thing between like vanilla ice cream and the Nazis. But if by ethical he's just talking about preferences, Avi's going to say, of course, there's a fucking massive difference. I prefer ice cream and I don't prefer Nazis. So it's going to come down.
Well,
to
I think.
whether, I was just going to say it's going to come down to whether ethical in that sentence is it's whether it's being used in that kind of robust way or not.
Okay, I'll give you a proposition. There's no ethical distinction between being an ethical vegan and being a rapist, murderous Nazi. There you go.
Yeah, so Alex, do you understand what I mean about that proposition? So, like, if you see how it's like there's no ethical difference between being a Nazi or being a vegan. Um, if
Sure.
if
But I think the
ethical,
way most people would define ethical is like harm to society and like like virtue. So if he defines it like that, then there's definitely a massive disagreement.
you can see how it's going to hinge on how it's defined, though, right? Like, yeah, of course, if
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
talk about damage to society, then yeah, you're going to get this like empirical question, and then yeah, it's going to be like, what's the argument for that? If you just mean
So then
some,
like,
but
so let's
yeah.
let Mr. Slave answer. How do you define ethical? Because that's what it
We
hinges.
said it's a
Exactly,
personal
yeah.
preference. We said
on.
it's a personal preference. There's no distinction between personally preferring to be an ethical vegan and personally preferring to be a murderous rapist Nazi.
Okay,
Mathematically,
When
it's
you
identical.
when,
You have to agree.
okay. So if that's how you define ethical, then I don't think there's going to be a disagreement on that.
yeah, I mean, like obviously they're different preferences. They aren't literally for the same thing, but there's not a difference between them with respect to being preferences. They are both just preferences.
Yeah, they're both preference.
If we define ethical veganism as a personal preference, it is a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
It is a type of a personal preference, and to be a rapist, murderous Nazi is a personal preference. Then there's no distinction. It's two. It's
When
just
you say no
from
distinction, obviously they're not the same
from
preference.
from an ethical point of view,
But
since ethics is just
remember though, ethics. You said that just means personal
don't
preference.
exist.
So yes.
Exactly.
So just
So from a personal preference point of view, they're
yeah,
both personal preferences. That's
right.
all.
He agrees with
There's
that.
no advantage. There's no advantage or disadvantage. There's no right and wrong. They're just
Well,
two.
wait.
They're on the
You
same
just threw out two
level.
more claims there. That was just a lot there. There's no right and wrong.
Okay.
Right and wrong. If we're understanding ethics in terms of preferences, when you say right or wrong, that's just going to mean there's no thing that's preferred or thing that's not preferred. He'll disagree with that. He's got preferences. But if
No,
you're
right, but there's no
just to be clear,
absolute.
when you I just want
Yes,
to say
there's no absolute right and
I
wrong.
don't think there's really yeah, no, that's the spooky moral stuff that he's going to say doesn't exist. He doesn't accept any like
Exactly.
moral realism. In fact, like I don't want it to get into a complicated
Let
philosophy.
me let me repeat let me repeat the proposition.
Uh,
There's no.
okay.
I'll repeat the proposition. There's no ethical advantage or disadvantage to be an ethical vegan compared to a rapist, murderous Nazi.
Okay,
Well,
and
I think
ethical.
I disagree with you on that because if you're a Nazi, you're going to get like shunned by society. Like there's all these like so. Uh, if
Both
you're
are
saying there's no advantage,
Alex, it's still gonna. Well, he said ethical advantage, so what it's gonna depend
uh,
what that means, right? Like obviously advantage
yeah,
in some standard sense. Like yeah, of course, if you're a Nazi, people are gonna fucking hate you, sure. But what he means when he says ethical advantage might not even be that.
yeah.
exactly. It's just a personal preference. I
I
Yeah.
think
So
prefer.
when
this
you
one is a little bit of a. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think this one's a little bit of a dead end. I think you should go with the ones you were proposing earlier. Either ethical veganism is nonsense, or it's all just virtue signaling, or whatever.
No,
However
no,
you say
no,
it.
no. This is the
I will say
proposition.
I fully
If
agree
you
with him that
ex-
you should do the one of the nonsense ones. The maybe the virtue signaling one.
no, no, no,
Wait,
no. The
please, just let me
main.
finish my
No,
sentence. You
no.
could one second, one second. You do the nonsense one, the virtue signaling one. I am actually happy to continue with you here if you want to try to do the personal preference one, but I agree with Alex. Those other ones are better because it's like there's obvious disagreement and we can just launch into debate on them. This will have to spend time
No,
trying
no,
to get a
no, no,
proposition.
no, no, no. I'll tell you why not. Because in your debates, you guys keep bringing up the Nazis. Your reductio ad absurdum again, again. You say
Wait,
you
but
agree with the
we
Nazis.
don't need
No,
this
no,
like
no.
meta though right now. Like we're trying
Yeah, we do.
slave.
Yeah, that's exactly. No,
No,
no.
we
That's
don't
I
because
want
we
you to
slave
concede.
because we have an
Yeah, we do.
actual purpose in this conversation right now. Like so it's like you don't remember that like we're doing something here. We're trying to get a proposition so you can talk to Avi, remember?
I
It's not
no,
just
that
like
I am not
we're not
interested.
like you
I'm
don't
not
understand
interested.
the space you're in. You're in a philosophy server. This isn't a space for you to just go off on some fucking stream of consciousness, okay? We're trying to have a philosophical conversation with you. That's what we do here. We sit around and do shit like formal logic and talk about fucking moral realism, okay? It's not fucking slave ramble hour. So sorry, but come on. So when it comes to what the disagreement is, do you want to keep trying to hone this proposition about the preferences and it being morally equivalent vegans and Nazis, or do you want to go for the nonsense one?
Yes. Morally equivalent to Nazism.
Okay.
Ethical
now,
veganism
it's
and
morally
Nazism are
equivalent to Nazism.
morally
Yep.
equivalent.
Got you. And when you say morally equivalent, because whether Avi agrees or disagrees with you is going to hinge on what you mean by morally equivalent. When you say veganism and Nazism are morally equivalent, do you just mean that they both are preferences?
Exactly.
He doesn't disagree with that, Slave.
So
that's
done.
not a debate. That's not something you can have a debate about. For a debate, you have
Fine.
to
Then you
disagree.
agree.
Huh?
I didn't say I want to debate. I proposed an email. He could have
Okay,
said,
that's one of the
I
options I
completely
gave you,
agree.
though. So to be clear, you don't want to have a debate, correct? This
I
is
sent
crazy.
an
Are you
email.
actually so obstinate that
Don't
you say a sentence and then
engage
I
in
say?
what I.
Sorry, Sam. What are you saying, Alex?
I'm just saying, engage in the words that come out of Isaac's mouth. Like I feel like slave. Okay, when I do debates, it takes me about 2 minutes, maybe 30 seconds to establish what the topic of debate is going to be, and then we get to the actual debate. It's been taken over an hour to do something that should 1 minute. It's not that hard to just engage in the words that come out of Isaac's mouth. But it sounds like you don't actually want to do a debate anymore. But and that's fine. You don't have to debate, Avi, right? But like, yeah, like you're just stalling right now and going on tangents and rambles. And like, I don't know why. Like my 5-year-old nephew would be quicker at finding a proposition. So like, just engage in the words that come out of Isaac's mouth. Don't reference this email. Don't go on a tangent. Just engage in the words that come out of his mouth.
I will say also that last moment of obstinance was just so insane. Like you said I don't want to debate, and then I said, oh yeah, I gave you that option earlier. Are you saying you don't even want to have a debate? And then you said no. It's like you say no to the thing you just said because I said it back to you, and now for you to agree with it would be agreeing with me, even though I'm just saying the thing you said a second ago. That's crazy person behavior, just for the record, okay? All right. So
yeah, Slave, there's nothing wrong with actually like agreeing like to someone. It's not a sign of weakness. It doesn't mean that you lost. There's nothing wrong with like changing your position and realizing that you don't. I do this all the time in debates. I have someone on for debate and I'm like, yo, we don't actually disagree on anything. That's totally fine. So you can agree with Isaac and be like, yeah, you're right. There's nothing for us to debate about. That's fine.
yeah, that would be an acceptable result here. Well, there certainly isn't anything to debate about in terms of the preference stuff. We could try to find another proposition, but are you saying you're not actually interested in a debate if it's not about the preference proposition?
If you would allow me to say a complete sentence, then I would be able to respond. Otherwise, I honestly
Yeah, we don't need
don't
this.
know what to say.
We don't need this meta though. We're just asking. Do you still want to do a debate and try to find a proposition or not?
I would like maybe at this point to give concluding remarks. Would you allow me that?
No, you haven't even started the debate, bro. You can't do conclusive remarks when the debate has began. The movie hasn't started playing. The DVD is still in the box. You can't give your analysis or review of the movie before you watch the movie. So no concluding remarks. Like you can't conclude on something that hasn't happened yet. It hasn't even started.
Yeah, I mean that is really like just so insane, Slave. Okay, yeah. Look, you can. I'm sure if you say that you're not interested in a debate, like yeah, I'm happy to let you like go on a little ramble before we all kind of leave VC. That's no problem. But do you still want to have a debate or not?
Okay. I don't understand why you're limiting my responses. Why don't you let me speak freely?
That's what we're interested in. Avi and I, what we're interested in is having a debate. If it's not a debate, we're probably going to go to bed. So we're trying to understand, do you want to do what we want to do? If not, we're going to go sleep.
That's a lie.
That okay. Well, I mean, if you don't believe me, I don't know what to say to you. I don't really care
No,
though.
it's
I
a
mean, you
contradic.
still, you still,
It's a
you're still
complete
faced with.
contradiction.
Wait, sorry. You're still faced with the same options, which are just say whether you want to debate or not. But I cannot resist that bait because it's logic. What the fuck do you mean? It's a contradiction. What are you talking about? There's no contradiction.
Dr. Avi was about to tell us a story about his rise to veganism. That was not part of a debate.
Okay, that's not a contradiction.
So
And I'm not going to try to
okay,
explain
so
what a
Complete.
contradiction is, but
discussion with Avi about his vegan journey? Like, do you? So you just want to have a discussion with him and hear him out on how he became a vegan? Are you just trying to like understand veganism better? Is that it?
No, uh, Mr. Ask Anyone. What's your name?
call me Isaac. My moniker is Ask Yourself. AY. It doesn't matter.
Ask yourself. Isaac. Isaac, ask yourself. So he said that we only do debates, but that's a lie.
No,
That's a
I was
contradiction to what
okay.
Dr.
Do
Avi
you
was
remember
about.
earlier when you said absolute statements and how you don't want to be interpreted like that? You think I mean we literally only like that's the only thing we ever come in? No, I mean it's late at night. Like if we're not debating, we're probably gonna go to bed.
You're not letting me talk at
Because
all.
yeah,
You're silencing
I'm
every
not I'm
sentence.
not interested in having really a conversation right now. It's like a bit late. We're just trying to
I'm
understand. Do
not
you want slave? Do you want to have
neither.
slave? Stop. Do you want to have a debate or not?
You keep silencing me. I
Slave,
cannot talk.
just
Impossible.
just answer the question. Yes, no,
No, I
I don't know.
refuse. I refuse to answer your question. I will.
You know
I'm
what?
sorry.
This is so
I
great.
appreciate that because at least sorry, you next, Alex. But I appreciate that because at least you're being honest. If you just say I refuse to answer the question, I appreciate that more than like infinite rambling as if you don't know that you're being asked a question. Sorry, what are you trying to say,
Yeah,
Alex?
let me explain what's going on. Slave thinks that if he gives in to this proposition, to the request for a topic, then that means he's like giving ground, he's losing the debate. He doesn't understand that what we're trying to do right now is just establish a topic. So he's acting really, really bad faith and not engaging in anything that comes out of your mouth. So I think honestly, at this point, I think it's a waste of time. I don't think we're going to get anywhere. If he refuses to engage with an attempt to establish a proposition, he's not going to engage in the actual debate. So
I,
that's kind of my.
I agree, and I would bet you anything Avi agrees. Avi, do you want to like let him go on just a final kind of monologue or whatever?
Oh, sorry. Did we get a proposition?
Alex can't get
No.
over the idea of this guy having anything like a closing statement. um, yeah, we didn't, but I think he just wants to say some shit before he goes. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
you're not letting me talk.
let him say some shit.
I don't understand why you're silencing me. All I wanted to say is, my proposition
Avi's not
was.
speaking up, so slave. This is your quote closing pre-opening closing statement. So go ahead.
On
It's
debate.
it's neither. It's neither. You guys are rambling endlessly and silencing every time I'm beginning to speak. Let me just say one sentence, which I've already said, but let it be my conclusion. My email that you keep refusing to talk about. My email said exactly what you now claim Dr. Avi agrees with. So there's no reason for a debate. So Dr. Avi invited me to debate about an email that I sent him. But now, ask anyone, ask yourself, is saying, no, he actually agrees. He invited you for what? I would like to talk. We can still talk. But apparently we cannot talk. We have to have a debate. But he agrees. So I don't know anymore. He invited me to chat. He doesn't want to chat. He wants to have a formal logic class. Fine. All right, whatever.
Server. This is what they do. They're like a debate club. Like this is what they do. They
That's
have
a
debate.
lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Dr. Avi was about to start telling us a story about vegan journey. So stop repeating the lie.
No, the reason he was going to tell you that story is because it related to his point. So the point of that story wasn't just to share like his fucking life with you. It was to make a conclusion about veganism is important.
No, I think he was trying to bond with with Mr. Slave.
Either or. But yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so my closing thoughts are this is like the epitome of bad faith. You're usually not this bad faith when you're on my channel, Slave. So I don't know why you're like stonewalling and being so bad faith. I've literally never seen it take over an hour to establish a debate proposition. This is something that would take a 5-year-old 1 or 2 minutes. So to me, this is like the epitome of bad faith behavior. It's not a good look. It looks actually really bad when you're like purposely stonewalling people. Like, I think you think that if you agree to the debate proposition, you're like giving ground, but that's incorrect. Like, this is just basic like human communication 101. So yeah, that's my closing thoughts.